If I could do
So
that and snap my fingers, and in front of you is your dream guy, your Boaz, your whoever, Mr. High Value, Mr. Productive, Competitive, Successful, Mr. Everything, Mr. I want to work and take care of you, and I'll never cheat on you. But are you ready to submit to his authority completely? Meaning, your input is given, but the decisions are his. He's paying the cost to be the boss, and it is his word. Not your co-pilot, you're a vice president. You're not a co-pilot. Vice presidents, no one cares what vice presidents go or what vice presidents have to say. The vice president is only important if the president if the president dies in office. Are you really ready to submit to the authority of your high value, your man, before you become his wife? See, I know the tricks. A lot of you ladies. Oh yeah, I know I'm ready to submit. Yeah, but are you ready to do it before you get the wedding ring? See, you can't say I'll do all this stuff after you marry me. No, 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 no. Are you ready to? And if that's your thinking, you're not ready. If you're looking for ways to wiggle out of it, get
try.
in the gray areas, deflect, you're not ready. You don't want to do it. And that's fine. Let's just be honest. Are you ready to submit? And here's the thing. If not, cool. What has to happen, ladies, for each one of you individually? What has to happen for you to be happy and ready to happily submit to the authority of one man? Why did it come up? Last night I had a call with a woman out of Los Angeles. Her name is Ashley, and I'm going to just let it play because in the conversation, I'm talking to a woman who hit a lot of points that I want to discuss this week. One, let me say this to women in general, black women in particular, black women. Ashley, you are not victims. Black women, you are not a special victim. You got to give up this victim complex. It gets you nowhere. Number one, you're not a victim. Number two, you're damn sure not a special victim. Three, the world does not owe you understanding. Number four, it's competitive out here. It's blood sport. Number five, uh, what are you prepared to do? The line from Untouchables when Sean Connery gets shot and Kevin Costner is leaning over him as he's dying. He's telling the bookkeepers on the train headed to Miami. And his last words as he's dying, what are you prepared to do? Women, what are you prepared to do to get what it is you say you want?
I was taking weaponizing as, I guess I'll go ahead and share my experience a little bit, but like, um, I'm naturally a submissive woman until something don't make sense to me. And then I started being like, mm-mm. So I probably mentioned to you guys a few times the guy that I was dating that was a millionaire, like he was one of those guys, like he wanted 100% control. I mean, like 100% control, even of like of my body and everything, what I wore, all that stuff. And I did all that stuff to the point where I didn't even know who I was just because I was with this guy and this is what he wanted. However, he didn't want me looking no guy's face. Like if I looked at a guy in the eye, like that was a problem, right?
That's
So
your yeah.
when I did stuff like that, he would get upset and not talk to me. Like was shut down for like a week or two. Like that was his punishment. You know, that was like whenever I didn't do what he said or whenever I didn't do something he wanted, like he like used it as a reason to like punish me or whatever. So I think weaponizing can be looked in different ways if you've been in situations like that. But I think being submissive does go to a certain extent because the only time I wasn't submissive was when I decided like I don't want to do that. Like literally like to my body and all kinds of stuff. When I started saying like no, like all of a sudden I'm being disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm usually always submissive, but now you telling me no, you're not doing this. And that would be like what he used against me as to make me feel like I'm not doing right in my relationship. I'm not making him happy. Like that's what I was thinking that weaponizing was. So that's why I've been quiet this whole time listening, because once I finally decided I can't do this no more. Like this ain't me. I can't do it no more. Once I walked away, I was able to look back and see like he used that against me a whole lot. Whenever I was always submissive, though that one time I felt uncomfortable. It was like you disrespectful. You're not a submissive woman. Like that used to offend me. So maybe that'll help you understand a little bit of what weaponizing is in a
Yeah,
different view.
a little bit. It's just interesting to see different perspectives because then it allows you to learn a little bit more. I'm always trying to learn, new things and different perspectives kind of help me with a lot of the content I'll be putting out. But I have learned a lot about submission. I will tell you that great deal of it, reading a lot of books and I started to take my moral stance out of it so I can kind of have an understanding. Because when I put my moral stance into it, then I kind of push on my beliefs and principles on other people who want women or want things a certain way or they want submission. Like I know a guy that was in the military with me, came from a family where the woman would submit. His belief was that they do whatever. It don't matter if they had to go strap a bomb on their chest and go stand next to a United States tank and blow it up. I mean, you can call it weaponizing, but if she wasn't doing that, then she was evil or she wasn't submissive. You know what I'm saying? It's a matter of weaponizing depending on what moral stance you coming from. But just the essence of submission is based on the outcomes of what the person that you're submitting to. And whether that's good or bad, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's you submit or you don't. And you always have at the end of the day, you always have a choice too, but not, you know. There's other ways to get people to submit, and I'm not gonna go Diddy route or whatever or Epstein route, but there's other ways to do it,
What?
but for the most part, it's always been a choice.
One thing that I noticed, and I appreciate all the women on the panel who did share their experiences. I, um, I can only try to empathize with what that actually takes to bring your personal experiences into it. But as much as we kind of dogged them in the beginning about not wanting to submit, apparently the young ladies here, and I would imagine that at least a good portion of the general public would reflect the same results. They have actually tried to submit and it failed them. And unless there's some serious, repairs done via therapy, whatever, right? And maybe they already did, maybe they've been through the healing process, but I could understand why a person who goes through something like that would have a lack of trust because if you're saying okay a lot of times the fathers are missing and everything and then their first experience is like that would make you apprehensive to ever submit to someone fully again because if you've been betrayed like that after giving someone full submission it's got to be difficult to recover from. So one of the ways to be proactive, we're going to add to it, Darwin, men, when you have a woman who actually does it, nobody says you have to stay with her forever or whatever the case is, but just don't abuse it because you're ruining the curb. You're making it bad for not only yourself, but everyone. You're building a culture of people who were traumatized because you want to abuse it. Because I think that let's just say if the young ladies who's explaining, I think we had at least two. I know both Chanel and I think it was one more person who explained the situation tonight. But we understand that this is about. I've talked to many women who've been traumatized, right? Dozens and dozens, and they've told me similar stories about men abusing them from early, right? Sometimes it might be cousins, sometimes it might be fathers, sometimes betrayal in the beginning, very early stages in life or their first relationship. And yeah, we're gonna have to do better. We're gonna have to educate our children, let them know that this ain't wrong. Y'all don't play like that. Whatever it is that we can do to stop this from happening, because this type of abuse and trauma, and if it's your early childhood or even your first relationship experience, even as a young adult, it's gonna make it extremely difficult for you to be able to submit to somebody. And a lot of times we just try to write it off and say, "Oh, damn that broad," because we don't understand the backstory, and we thinking like she's just some type of degenerate, or she's just unwilling or rowdy or crass or whatever term we want to give to her. But if you take the time to understand what it is that some of these young ladies are actually dealing with when they are compelled to be vulnerable, then you take a step back and you're like, okay, I could kind of get, I can dig it. I see where they're coming from, because now, but that understanding is helpful. So at least the first step to solving any major equation is to understanding the problem. And to me, it seems like there's two major issues. One, you haven't seen the example, and two, people have abused their authority. They have abused the fact that you were willing to be submissive and vulnerable, and they've abused it, and you've been betrayed. So, as men, we got to do better than that.
That's a fact, Trev. And to add to that, the abuse of trust is one of the things that break most of this stuff down. Uh, I would be willing to bet before being let down by a father figure or the man in their life, or a relationship that went wrong. 90% of women default position is submission, like the default position. The trauma steps in front of that and then creates a block, that, which is why I talk about the leverage factor. And I'm saying every woman can operate perfectly in a relationship, but it depends on the leverage. That leverage is ultimately your ability to break down that barrier, whatever that may be. If it's work with her through the trauma, be the person to build enough trust that she can let all the guard down and then give her herself fully. Because in my experience, women actually want to do that when they like you or love you. It's a default thing. When they fall in love, it comes naturally right up out of them.